What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Bold of Juice channel. And before we start, I do want to mention one thing. It's probably pretty obvious what it is, but I have trimmed my beard up. That's not the big obvious, or that is the big obvious thing, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is that some of the videos the rest of this week will have all of the 6 o'clock videos that come out between now and probably Monday of next week, will have my old beard, my long beard, my untrimmed beard, basically. And that's because last week I had to bulk record some content for the second upload, and I did it all before I trimmed up my beard. So all of the noon videos going forward will have the trimmed beard, the new look, because obviously those are recorded the day of. So the other videos, the 6 o'clock videos, are usually recorded within a couple days of each other, so that I can just it's easier for me to do that way, so that if I have to do something like outside, or if I have to do something not related to YouTube, then I have something to upload. So that's why, if you guys, obviously you'll notice, but the 6 o'clock videos from now until probably Monday will have pre-trimmed up beard juice. So just be on the lookout for that. It's not a big deal, but I just thought that I would acknowledge it before you guys go in the comments and say, Juice, why is your beard different in both these videos? I thought they were recorded on the same day. No, they're not. They're not recorded. It's just too hard for me to do it on the same day. So with all that being said, today we are going to go more in depth, even more in depth than what we did yesterday, with the release of the franchise update video, the deep dive video for Madden 22. They released it on Twitter, on YouTube, on all their platforms, and yesterday we went into a huge deep dive of it. It was about a 30-something minute video of me just talking about and breaking down some of the key factors of this trailer. It's about a 5-minute trailer. So in today's video, we are going to go even more in depth, and we are going to talk about specifically the scouting department of this new franchise. So if you guys are excited, make sure to smash that like button, notification bell, and the subscription button as well. Join the Juice Club, and let's talk about prospects. All right, here we are. We are at the start of the scouting part of the trailer, and we are going to be watching it again and reacting and breaking down some of this stuff. Now, before I say anything more, I just want to say that the scouting part of this, I mentioned this in the video yesterday, the scouting part of this will not be the same until September. On the game's launch, and for the rest of the month of August, and probably a little bit of September as well, probably the first couple weeks of September, depending on when they update the video, or when they have the live stream go out, or the live update go out. It's going to be the exact same as Madden 21 and Madden 20 and all those other games. The scouting part, it's going to be the exact same. But then sometime in September, whenever they release the update, it'll be what we're going to be watching right here. So I just thought I'd throw that out again. I said it yesterday, but I figured I'd throw it out again. So without further ado, let's watch this, rewatch this scouting breakdown here, and then discuss it.
22 franchise live service plan. Plus, the #1 most requested improvement by our players to franchise is scouting. We're targeting September for the release of scouting through a live service update. Madden 22's revamped scouting feature will allow you to manage and assign your scouting staff with all new national and regional scouts. We'll have a whole new and much more in-depth system for uncovering details about your prospects, and just like real life, players will move up and down the draft board all season long. We'll have more to share on scouting later in the summer.
All right, so that is basically all of the scouting stuff they have. So we're going to go back in here and take a quick look at it. So on this first little screenshot they show, they have the region breakdown. They have, obviously we're using the Bears and Matt Nagy. So they have national, Western, Central, Northeast, and Southeast. This, I said in yesterday's video, this gives me some huge FIFA vibes, because in FIFA, and we'll talk about this in a second with another screenshot, but in FIFA, you get 3 scouts, and you can send them to different regions of the world. You can send them to Europe, you can send them to Asia, North America, Africa. You can send them to different regions of the world, and then you can scout those specific countries and get like specific positions and stuff. So this feels almost exactly like that, just with the NFL. It looks like you can either send somebody to national, which means they just go around the whole country and they scout for whatever position their specialty is in, and then or you can get more in depth and you can send them to either like the western side of the United States, which would be like obviously California and Nevada and all those places, Arizona, all those spots. Then you can send them to the central, which would be like Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, all these places in the middle. Northeast would be like Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, all those good spots. And then the southeast would be Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, the good old southeast stuff. So if you want to get more in depth with your scouting and not just send them to national to scout the whole country, then you can pick one of those spots, which I think is a really good idea. It's definitely a lot better. Everything's going to be better than what they had previously, but this is just gives you that little bit extra of immersion to be able to pick your scouts and send them to a specific part of the country and get a specific type of player scouted. So like this, the Bears have sent Ted Davis, their area scout, to the Western region. He's got expertise as a Tier 1, and his positions of expertise are quarterback and outside linebacker, left outside linebacker. So when he goes to the Western region, he's going to go all over the Western region of the United States, and he's going to look for quarterbacks, or he's going to scout quarterbacks and left outside linebackers in the Western region. So he's only a Tier 1, so he only gets a 5% efficiency boost when scouting a position, so you might not get as accurate of scouting as you might have within a Tier 3, or I don't know how many tiers it goes up, but this guy only being a Tier 1, you're probably not going to get the most accurate scouting reports back, but you're probably going to get at least a feel for how these players are going to play in the NFL. And then it says the top prospects, and it gives you a list of the top 5 prospects in that, I'm assuming in that region. And then if you go to the national, it'll give you the top 5 prospects overall. And then it gives you strengths and weaknesses of that region. So the strengths in the Western region are quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, and the weaknesses are defense tackle, cornerback, and middle linebacker. I know you probably can't see that because my camera's in the way, but that's their strengths and weaknesses. So this is interesting. The only thing that I have concerns about and I'm curious about, I brought it up in yesterday's video as well, is are we going to have like actual money for paying scouts, or are we just going to, like, if we have enough XP, then we'll be able to get another scout, or if we have staff points available, then we'll use the staff points to give them. I don't know how it's going to work. Or are we actually going to have a budget like in FIFA where you use some of your transfer budget to purchase new scouts? And are they going to have like Tier 5 scouts that cost more money or cost more XP or something? Or are they going to have everybody cost the same? Or I don't know what's going to happen. I would assume they'd base it more off FIFA and have, like, if you're the owner, then you have enough money to, or then you can see how much money you have to be able to spend on scouting. I don't know if there's going to be like a separate budget for scouting, if you can like separate your budget into like re-signing players, fixing up the stadium, and then like purchasing them and sending scouts away. I don't know what it's really going to be. That's all for when they release the game, or maybe they'll send another update about scouting that we'll go over. I'll be pretty curious about that. So that's the first little screenshot that we go over. Then we move
for the release of scouting through a live service.
This one, we've got scout hiring. So it looks like their current scout is Mike Pennell Jr. He's got 2 years experience. He's a Tier 1. His positions are outside linebacker and strong safety, or just safety in general, for his expertise. But then you can go down here and you can scout, or you can not scout, you can hire different scouts, apparently. And it says that they have different tiers. So it looks like, at least for right now, the highest is tier 3. I'm not seeing any tier 4s or tier 5s. I don't know if it does go up to it, and maybe they just haven't scrolled down because there's a bar to scroll down. Maybe there's some tier 4s and tier 5s down there, a little bit further down the panel. But as of right now, tier 3 is the highest. And it seems to be former NFL players, and it looks like a lot of former Patriots. I don't know why there's so many former Patriots here. Dante Hightower's still a current Patriot. Joe Tooney's a former Patriot. Jason McCourty's a former Patriot. Shaq Mason's a current Patriot. Edelman's a former Patriot because he just retired. I don't know why there's so many Patriots players on this scouting thing. It's a little bit confusing. I tried to look into it, but I haven't really been able to find anything consistent about why there's actual NFL players that have different levels of experience, because Edelman just retired, and yet it says he has 8 years of experience. I don't know what that is. I'm still confused about this. So I tried to find something to some like consistent information about this, but I couldn't yet. It's still too fresh, still too early to find. Nobody's really broken that down yet, so I couldn't really find anything about that.
Okay. Madden 22's revamped scouting feature will allow you to manage and assign your scouting.
This is the other thing I mentioned earlier, how we would talk about more stuff that remind me heavily of FIFA and gave me some strict or some very heavy FIFA vibes. This is it. The scouting assignments. It looks like you get 6 different scouts that you can use at any one time, and you can send them to different areas of the country. It looks like this guy is going nationally. He's a tier 3. And his positions of expertise are quarterback and left outside linebacker, but he gives you a 15% efficiency boost when scouting a position. So if that is the highest, then you will get like almost exact scouting reports back for those college players that you're scouting. And then you send somebody to the west, you send somebody to the central, you send somebody to the northeast, and you send somebody to the southeast. So you get 6 different options, and you can reassign the scouts to different areas. You can go into the view region breakdown, and you can look at the panel. I'm assuming that this is the first screen you get, and then if you click on view region breakdown, you go into that previous screen that we saw where it was the actual picture of the country, and then it was that scout and stuff. So this is heavy FIFA vibes, and I'm happy that they are introducing stuff like this, because in FIFA it works. So as long as it works in there, I'm not going to be too mad at it, because I think that this is a very, very good idea, and I like it because it doesn't, you're not just clicking a button 3 times and getting 3 different grades on somebody's attributes in scouting. It didn't feel, the old version, the old model of scouting in Madden just didn't feel as in-depth, obviously, and it didn't feel as personal, and it didn't feel as like rewarding when you drafted somebody. But this is the start of something that would give you a lot of reward if you went to the, I don't know, the southeast region, and you went down to Florida to IGM Academy, and you drafted somebody there that was maybe not the highest rated college prospect out of the southeast region. Maybe he went to like, I don't know, Arkansas Pine Bluff or something, and you draft him, and he turns out to be like a mid-60s overall. But then down the line, he develops, and he turns into a 85. He turns into a 90 plus. He's got a nice superstar X factor, or maybe just a regular superstar or something, and he turns into a nice player in the league. That would make you feel rewarding, because you actually like went in depth. You went to the specific region where he was from in college, and you picked him out specifically. You liked his attributes, and you thought he was going to be a good player, and then he actually turned in to be a good player. That would be a lot better than what they have now. So as long as their progression system is better in Madden 22, that's another key thing that they need to fix, then this scouting stuff is going to be like a home run. So
staff with all new national and regional scouts.
Yeah.
We'll have a whole
This one is interesting because this is your new draft board, and it looks like it looks like you can adjust it, I'm assuming. And all this says work in progress. Don't forget about that. It all says work in progress. So this is not guaranteed to be what it's going to look like. It's just they're throwing it out for the beta. This is just what the beta would look like. But it says this guy, Tony Swift, has 70% completion on him scouted. You don't have a talent. I don't know what this 6 to 22 is. I'm assuming 6 to 22 on talent is the area where they're projected to be drafted, like from pick 6 to pick 22. But that doesn't make sense because then it says top 5 projection. Like he's projected to go top 5. So I don't know what this 6 to 22 talent is. I'd have to do a little bit more research on that. And nobody else has theirs uncovered yet. But
and much more in-depth system
screen
for uncovering details.
This one, you get to do private workouts. So you get to do individual private workouts with 6 different players to get maybe more in-depth scouting report on those 6 specific players. So like you pick Tony Swift, and maybe you uncover something that the rest of the league doesn't know because they didn't pick Tony Swift to be a private workout, but you did. So you get a little bit of a secret boost on Tony Swift's attributes, and maybe that gives you the edge on drafting him. I don't know if that's how it's going to work. That's how I would make it work if I was making this part of the game. So I mean, it's pretty cool. It's a really cool addition. You get to go more in depth on some of your favorite players that are in the draft because you can bring them to private workouts and stuff and you get a little bit of an extra boost.
It's about your prospects, and just like real life.
And then this one is the one screen that I got a little bit upset about because it says the Cincinnati Bengals have the number 1 overall pick and they're projected to draft a quarterback, Tony Swift. And that's not realistic because they have Joe Burrow. So maybe I said this in the past video, maybe in the simulation they traded Joe Burrow, or maybe he's injured or something. I don't know. Maybe they just don't have Joe Burrow, or maybe it's just the beta and doesn't mean anything. But it just doesn't. Why would they use this picture? Why would they give the Cincinnati Bengals the number 1 pick? I don't know. Maybe it's just one simulation out of 100 that could have happened, and it just happened to be the Bengals. I don't know. It just makes me a little bit upset that their logic is not going to be fixed because the Bengals don't need to draft a quarterback. They would probably draft Devin Patton. He looks pretty good, number 2 wide receiver. He's very physical. So I don't know why they would draft a quarterback. I'm very concerned that like I said, that their logic is not fixed, their draft logic, even though they said they were going to fix it. But this isn't a promising sign that the Bengals are going to draft a quarterback a few years after they already drafted their franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But other than that, it looks good. This whole new mock draft and draft board thing looks really good. I'm excited to see how it plays in actual, like, in the game.
Players will move up and down the draft board all season long.
They move up and down the draft board, which is pretty cool. So maybe the Joe Burrow Bengals aren't going to draft Tony Swift because he's going to move down the board, or their logic probably isn't fixed. I just have to get my mind wrapped around that. Their logic probably isn't fixed, and it probably won't ever be fixed because it's Madden, it's EA. But there is one more thing that I wanted to mention before we finish off this video, and that is something I mentioned in the last video. I had said something about this specific screen and about scouting. Are we going to be able to find out if one of these college players have won the Heisman? Because that would just be a little bit extra, like, immersion thing that would be super cool to have. Like, you're scouting the number 1 quarterback in the country and he just so happened to win the Heisman, or you're scouting the number 1 running back in the country, he just happened to win the Heisman. Or maybe some years you get a random defensive end that won the Heisman. Like, that would just be really cool. To know that you're scouting somebody that was the best the best player in college football that year. They probably wouldn't do other awards, or they probably wouldn't show like All-Americans or anything. But if they just added in somebody every year won the Heisman, and you knew that, like they told you that, maybe even in the news section, and then you could go into the scouting. It doesn't even have to be in this section. Like, you could go to the news section tab and it would say, oh, so-and-so, Tony Swift won the Heisman this year. Congratulations to him. And then you go back into this and you put a little bit more emphasis on scouting Tony Swift because he's the best quarterback in the country. He won the Heisman. So that would just be a little bit of extra immersion that I feel like wouldn't be that hard to do. They've done it previously. I'm pretty sure that was in Madden before. So that would just be a little bit of an extra immersion factor for me, at least, that I think would be pretty cool to have. So they probably won't do it, but I don't know.
We'll have more to share on scouting.
And that's gonna be the end of the scouting portion of this video. Well, of this trailer breakdown, and that's gonna be all of the stuff for this video. Maybe in another video later this week, I will cover. There's more stuff like training, weekly training stuff that I could go over and talk about, like this stuff, the game planning and all that stuff. I could definitely talk about that stuff if you guys want me to. I could definitely talk about staff stuff because I didn't really get into a lot. I talked about the scouting part of it, but I didn't really talk about the skill trees and all that stuff. So I could definitely talk about that. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. Let me know down below in the comments if you think Madden 22 franchise is going to be a W, an L, or you just don't care. I think it's going to be a W, but that's just from seeing these trailers and that's from seeing these little like teasers and stuff. I won't know if it's a W or an L, obviously, until I have my hands on the game. So right now I think it's a W. Let me know what you guys think down below. Smash that like button, notification bell, and the subscription button as well. Join the Juice Club. That's going to do it for me. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.